It's going down. I don't care what no one thinks of me. It's all about God. So get out of my way. This is my way. God's way. Full of love, happiness, peace. Jesus. He's good. God sees your heart, what you feel, what you think. 777 777, my friend. All the glory to Jesus. They can gossip, they can talk. Don't let them fool you. Warriors of fearless justice and intelligence. Chosen family. All glory to God. You are strong. The power of God is being activated. God is good. So let's go in. Do not silence yourself in your pain. Praise the Lord Jesus Christ. Hallelujah. So keep shining. With your light. Find yourself in Jesus, the light. Thank God for His love, wisdom, direction, light, destruction of darkness. Spiritual warrior, chosen by God. Listen to this. Let's go in. They used to whisper about you like you were a rumor. Now they speak your name like it's a warning. Let that sink in. You didn't used to walk into the room. You changed the temperature. And now they're sweating, scrambling, gossiping, plotting, blaming the lighting, blaming the angles, the mirror. Deep down, they know it's your look, not the clothes, not the glow, the way you walk, the silence in your eyes, the storm in your presence. You become a conversation they can't escape and a reflection they can't stand. You've always been a problem, but you're a headline, and they hate that they don't get to control the narrative anymore. Why is the whole town talking about you? The ones who used to ignore you are obsessed. Powerful people are panicking because your elevation doesn't come with permission. You didn't ask to be seen. You didn't beg to be chosen. You became undeniable. God chose you, and your name is flying everywhere. Family chats, private groups. Your rise was not random. It was written in your silence, your scars, your refusal to break. You were broken, but God builded you through all of this. A lot of things has happened. And it was for you, just so you can see and understand. The streets are buzzing. Your name is out there. A low frequency make the envious itch and the fake smile even harder. You are what they pretend not to notice and what they can't stop watching. It's not just what you wear, it's the power in your posture. the clarity in your silence. It's the way you walk in looking like a lesson and leave like a prophecy fulfilled. They thought they buried you under rumors. They thought they could make you the punchline. Now you become the plot twist. And every person who sat at the table to laugh at your downfall are now choking on your news. On the comeback, it's going down. Online, in private, and in places where power used to hide. You have the power. Your name used to be dismissed. Now it's the headline, the whisper, the wildfire. You're not used to talk of the town. You are the talk. You walk the walk. You shifted the weather. You changed. You made your presence feel in rooms you never entered. You did it without noise. No begging, no drama. Just that cold, steady pressure of someone who knows who they are. Now the universe is returning the favor. They are being exposed. Institutions, hidden hands are getting revealed. The same people that used to smile to you in public and sabotage you. They're losing sleep, control. They lose everything they thought was protected. Because here's the truth. When you walk in your power, you don't have to say a word. Your energy speaks. Your transformation screams. And right now, it's screaming so loud that it's echoing through the entire community. Your look has become a mirror, and everyone forced to see what they really are. You are the one. Someone important has been watching, a powerful admirer, silent, wealthy, respected. They've been observing how you move through storms, how you never let your pain become your prison. They're stepping forward now, not because you need saving. They know you're rare. It's your time. They want to be a part. Let the haters run their mouth. Let them try to discredit your glow. But know this, you were built for this. They were never prepared for the version of you that's emerging now. The version that doesn't flinch, shrink. The version that walks in to gossip like gasoline and leaves it burning. Your time to shine. Your revenge. Not through bitterness, but through brilliance. The universe is moving pieces behind your back, and all of it working in your favor. So let them talk. Let them spiral. Let them wonder what you did. You smile. Because you didn't do anything extra. You just finally stopped dimming your light. If this hit your chest like truth. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. Don't hide. Let them see who you are. Feel free. Show love. Peace and love. Spread positive energy. You have a gift, a talent. Keep the truth alive. You are not just average. You are different. Your own rise. You are the one. You are here to succeed. This is a fact. The system that thought you was a threat. They watch you become the standard. It's going down and they can't stop it. They didn't come for you by accident. They came because you were the threat they couldn't predict. It's not by accident. You are the threat they couldn't predict. You weren't a problem. You were a pattern breaker. And patterns hate anything that doesn't kneel. Let that sink in. The way they moved against you wasn't random. It wasn't bad luck. It was strategy. Quiet, ruthless, personal. They saw it in you before you saw it in yourself. The way you carried energy that didn't match their system. The way your presence made lives feel uncomfortable. Silence exposed their mask. It started early. It followed you. It kept changing faces, but the feeling was always the same. You walked into places and the room shifted. Not because of what you said, of what you couldn't be controlled into doing. The neighbor that gave you the fake smile, the teacher that was too invested in your child's discipline, the manager who never said it directly. The way the atmosphere was darkened the moment you walked in. It wasn't coincidence, it was code red. The alarm system of the status quo panicking because someone has just walked in who wasn't programmed to follow. Why me? Try me. Chosen. Your existence is a glitch in their matrix. You weren't built to obey dysfunction, to normalize disrespect. You weren't born to clap for mediocrity. Born to see, talk, do different. And that threatens people who survive by pretending. Every moment they try to shrink you was when they tried to protect their illusion. You made them feel exposed, not by confrontation, but contrast. You had the nerve to walk in with self-respect, without needing their permission. You didn't ask for a seat. You walked in like the table was yours. They don't hate you because you're loud, because you're calm. You don't flinch, you don't beg, you don't play the game they play. You show up just the way you are, and they can't. That's why they follow you, whisper, sabotage, and study you at the same time. They hate that you are watched, still free, visible but untouchable. You were never the villain. You were the only one who couldn't be lied to. The patterns repeat themselves. No matter how polite you are, how good you are, it's not your imagination, it's your strategy. You were marked, not by accident, but your aura. They clocked it before you even had language, before you could spell chosen. Chosen ones. They tried to put you in a box, labeled difficult, aggressive, paranoid, too sensitive, crazy, not a team player. Because you were different, because you wouldn't bow, pretend. And that made you dangerous. They wanted to shake your belief in yourself and God. They wanted to drown you in doubt, so you second guess your brilliance. They wanted to break you before you fully stepped into the look that now got the whole town whispering. Be real. This glow up was cosmic. You didn't just change clothes, you changed frequency, energy. You buried your old self, you healed wounds that weren't even yours to carry. And now, your very presence makes systems destroyed. They see it in your tone, in your eyes. You used to explain yourself. Now you just exist unapologetically. Now it's going down. That's why they are talking. Not because you posted a selfie, because you became the version of yourself you swore you never would. They told that you were dramatic, that you were the problem. They twisted your kindness into weakness and your strength into threat. But now they're being forced to sit in the truth. And they can't handle the reflection. You finally stopped doubting your own clarity. You started to trust your own spirit. The places where you were disrespected were never aligned. The people who turned cold on you were never confused. They were calculating. The rejection wasn't punishment, it was redirection. You were never meant to blend in. You were born to disrupt. Every environment you enter, transform, or turns against you. You bring truth, and truth is loud, even when unspoken. That's why they try to gaslight you, thinking that you are crazy. Because if you fully believe what you had, it's game over. Because you have the game and it's game over now. Because how you look, how you do, and what it took for you to still be standing. You walked through fire and came out shining. The same system that tried to cancel you or scrambling to catch up to your energy. You were the target because you were the threat. And now you are the storm. Let them whisper, let them speculate, let them talk. You have risen. Jesus is rising. It's by force, strategically, unstoppable, unbreakable. You weren't just watched, you were. They didn't meet you and decide to hate you. They told who you were before you ever had a chance to speak. It wasn't random. People you never spoken to, they already didn't like you insulted them, treated you like a idiot, like you done something wrong. But they are indoctrinated to expect you as a problem. The moment your name were mentioned, the whispers began. Not because anything you said, because what you represent, your energy. The world don't like the truth. The world don't like people who are real. They wanted to lock you in. Sometimes you walk into a room, you feel the tension. It's not paranoia, it's preparation. You didn't walk into a blank space. You walked into a setup. A neighbor who looked at you sideways. A manager, a boss. That friend group who randomly took you out. It wasn't mood, it was intel. You were profiled by your presence. They weren't reacting to your actions, to your potential, to your essence, to the threat you pose, just by refusing to conform to the system. And the part they never say out loud, your authenticity exposes their performance. You walk in raw, untamed, and that disrupt the whole entire fake frequency. They wear masks to survive. You walk in unmasked and everybody feels seen, exposed, uneasy. That's why they had to prepare. You don't blend in, you wake people up, and that makes you dangerous. It wasn't personal, it was intentional. You were targeted not because who you are to them, because of what you are to the system. A risk, a mirror, a reminder of everything they had to kill in themselves to fit in. But you might think, why me? I didn't do anything. You didn't do anything except exist boldly. You didn't water yourself down. You didn't become smaller so they could feel safe. And they don't like when you think that you are big, when you love yourself, when you think that you are more, because the truth is, they always needed permission. They saw you walk in on butter. It messed with the program. So the only way to contain you is to warn others about you, spread rumors, plant seeds, delay your rise. What they didn't account for, your glow doesn't need permission. You can't shine without darkness. They try to block your label, you turn others against you. The real hours rises. Now you've risen so loud they can't drown you. They try to warn people about you. But those same people are watching you shine and questioning the lies you were fed. So when they said it's going down, believe them, because the script is flipping. The ones who were warned about you, they are becoming your supporters. The system that tries to keep you invisible is being forced to watch you become unavoidable. They built a network to stop you, but you became the signal that disrupted the whole system. The system can't defeat you because you are the system. You are more than a system. They try to silence you. They try to rewire your mind, program you. They didn't need to kill your power. They just wanted you to doubt yourself. The real war wasn't waged outside. It was psychological, internal, strategically, because they knew they couldn't destroy you directly. So they want to make you question yourself if you're real. That's gaslighting. That's how it works. Mind games. They were gaslighting you. You overreacting. You said, I felt that shift in the room. They said you are too sensitive. You said something about them ain't right. You always think someone out to get you, but they were out to get me. Not because you were wrong, because you were surrounded by people who convincing you that you were. It wasn't feeling, paranoia, it was precision, internal radar of someone who had to survive a world who smiles and stabs. You weren't being dramatic. Something not sitting right. It was your spirit reading data faster than your brain. Your instinct, scanning the energy. Instead of backing you, they turned it into a weapon against you, made you the emotional one, the problem, the unstable. You were the only one who was awake. It was never about proving you wrong. It was about breaking your... You have to trust your own instinct. When you start to trust your own instincts, it's over. It was all to gaslight you, to make you believe that you are not who you are, that you don't feel what you feel, that you don't think what you think. You can't let the world and other people affect you, because what they do is to say something that they think is real. They want to control, but they can't control you and say to you what's real and what's not real. They can't say to you because you feel. You feel with your mind. You think with your mind, with your own brain, right? And who are they to say with their mind what you think, what you feel? Because you feel it, you know it, you sense it. And they want to say that it's not like that, but you know exactly what it is. You don't seek validation. You stop obeying manipulation and seek validation. When that happens, you become untouchable. What did they do? They lied. Persistently. They created an atmosphere where you were forced to apologize to being yourself, where your ability to read the room became a burden instead of a superpower. They make you feel like your truth was a glitch when it really was a gift. Here's the twist. It didn't work. Because your sensitivity, they mocked, is the weapon that makes you unshakable. The intensity they try to shame you for. The energy is your inner fire. That's what's glowing right now. That's the look they talk about. That's the look of someone who knows. They gaslit you because they couldn't dim you. And now they're choking on the truth. You are the truth. Divine light. It was a full-blown operation, and you were the mark. It doesn't take 300 people to destroy one person. If it don't expose 300 shadows, so your light exposed their shadows. That's why so many went against you. It was not a misunderstanding, it was a network, a machine, a well-oiled system of silence, sabotage, and smiling snakes. Over 300 people, maybe 500, they all did the same sick mission: discredit you, destroy you. For what? Because you walked in with no mask, because you dared to speak truth in rooms built on lies, because your very look, that unshaken aura, that eyes forward energy, reminded them of everything they gave up on, used to be accepted. This network didn't form overnight. It grew, some joined out of fear, others out of jealousy, and the rest, the ones who smiled in your face, held your hand, pretended to love you, they did it out of pure wickedness. Law enforcement, pastors, human resources, managers, landlords, co-workers, friends, even your own family, they were all there. Some used pulling strings, nodding in silence, all accountable, all exposed. And you asked yourself, why will so many people care about me? Because you were the one they couldn't buy, bend, or break. And that's dangerous to a world where power feeds off compliance. You moved different. You loved without manipulation. You told the truth without apology. You didn't need stages to stand tall. And your ability to walk into a room and change the energy without saying a word, that alone threatens the entire architecture of their illusion. So they swarmed, quietly at first, whispering campaigns, closed door meetings, weird coincidences that drained your money, your time, your sanity. Your name was passed around like a file, many files, many papers. Some people wanted to watch you fall. Some people wanted a front seat. So you were targeted, you stood alone and still didn't fall. That's what makes them sick. That's what's fueling the gossip. You were outnumbered. You were one army and you didn't break. That's why it's going down. That's why the look is getting loud. It's echoing in courthouses, in back rooms. They thought they'd never be touched because the same network that plotted your collapse is collapsing in real time. And you're not the victim anymore. You are the reckoning. They tried to drag you in the mud, but you walked through it without losing your crown. Grace isn't weakness, it's warfare. And you fought with silence louder than their screams. You could snap, expose them all, drop names, and watch their kingdom burn. But no, you didn't. Not because you couldn't, because you choose not to become like them. That's what they never understood. You had every reason to retaliate, every receipt, every right, but you walked away instead with your head high and your tone calm and your soul clean. That's what's killing them now. You didn't feed the fire, you didn't hate back, you didn't clap back online, you didn't turn dirty on the street, you didn't shrink yourself to make them feel tall. You handle betrayal like royalty, not with noise, with presence. That slow silence, devastating kind of grace that doesn't beg to be seen, but is felt so deeply that it leaves a bruise on the ego that those who try to break you. Grace under fire is not for the weak. It's not passive. It's the choice to let karma speak louder than you ever could. That decision, it turned the table because they wanted a show. They wanted to drag you into the circus. They wanted you to explode so they could label you crazy, angry, unstable. But you didn't. You just kept showing up with consistency, unshakable aura that said, I see you, I know what you did, and I still not going down to your level. I gonna win. I gonna become better. It makes your enemy look foolish by having grace. It exposes them without lifting a single finger. Being humble, not prideful. You stay cool, they can humiliate you. But you stayed composed. They betrayed you and you didn't beg. They slandered you and you just elevated. That's why the town can't stop in talking about you. Your look, it's not about style or glow. It's about that quiet strength, that soft dominance, that composure. You threw dirt, but you turn it into light. You crush them with dignity. And now the whole world is watching the one they tried to bury. Now you walk like royalty. They burn sage in public and spit poison in private. That's witchy gossip. That's witchcraft. The same mouth that called you too much was the ones who wanted your spot. Community gossip. That fake concern, envy, projection, all those people in the community. Yes, they wanted your information to use against you. Yeah, the neighborhood. Witches and warlocks and haters. You didn't trigger them with your flaws. You triggered them with your flame, your ambition, your aura, your presence. You weren't even doing much, just existing, glowing a little too loud, walking with too much purpose, smiling like you still believe in something. And that made them furious, because here's what they never say loud. They gave up on themselves a long time ago. Dreams, confidence crushed, vision gone dry. So when you showed up, fresh, strong, purpose in your eyes, refusal to fold, they saw a mirror and they hated what stared back. That's why the gossip started. That's why they baited you. That's why they said your name with that slick little smirk. Not because you were wrong, because you still had hope, still had style, still had I know who I am. It doesn't flinch when cornered. And nothing bothers a lifeless crowd more than someone who refuses to dim used to make others feel comfortable. They whisper behind curtains, over dinner tables. Spiritual sabotage, community ties, secret groups. School people. They wanted to curse you into silence, to make you question yourself, to bait you into a scene so they can call you unstable. But really, it was their insecurity screaming the loudest. You saw it though. You saw how they moved. You caught the fake compliments. You noticed the switch when you walked in the room. And you still stayed quiet. You stayed above. You stayed focused because you knew their tactics were old, their power were fake, and their whispers, just the sound of dreams that never made it past fear. Let them cast their gossip spells. Let them form their little spiritual alliance of envy and confusion. Your energy can't be touched by a mouth who doesn't even speak truth to themselves. You survived their noise. You outclassed it. Chosen one. That's exactly why your name is on everyone's tongue. Not from scandal, but from undeniable elevation. They wanted you to break at work, but you turned that cage into a throne room. They stole your check. They thought it will bankrupt your spirit, but you came with wealth they couldn't touch. Workplace warfare is real. It's tactical. Some people don't like you on the work. They mistreat you and they bully and they are in groups. They wanted you down. They wanted to control you. It was sabotage, and they did it together. A slow motion assassination of your character and confidence. They want to corner you to make you snap in a moment of frustration. This is why we don't promote them. This is why we can't trust them with leadership. Meanwhile, they were watching every move you made, not because you were a problem, because you were outperforming without even trying. You brought ideas, visions, ethics, fire, the kind of presence that made mediocrity feel threatened. Even the chef was threatened by your light, by your aura, by your heart, because you attracted a lot of people to you, and they didn't want you to have the promotion and have the money and be better. That's why you can't work for someone else. You need to work for yourself. You need to build your own business. So they target you. They didn't want the job done right. Their ego destroyed them. They buried your wins. They lost your paycheck. When you asked questions, they acted like you were the issue, but you didn't give them the reaction. You stayed in control. You documented. You collected receipts. And you showed up early. You left with class. You never let their cows infect your character. Deep down, you knew karma has a clipboard. And that system where they try to strip you of your worth is now filling your absence. The energy shifted the day you left. Projects stalled. Morale dropped. People started whispering. You know, they were never the problem. Now your name is echoing. With respect they were too blind to give you. I could have done something good, you know. If I had the power, I will not use my power. Like some people, they use their power when they have power to take advantage of others. But when you're powerful and you have power, you need to use it in a good way. You cannot be evil. Because somebody can be low and then somebody can be high. You need to use your power in a good way to empower others. That's what leaders does. They use their power to help others, not to put others down. But you, as a leader, you was a threat of their position. So they wanted you to be quiet, to not believe who you were, because if you believe who you were and you find who you are, then you're dangerous. And that's what you are. They're watching your videos now. It's falling. Chosen one. The system. You were never just an employee. You were the storm in the building. And they knew it. The day you walked in. They built a wall around your name without ever had the courage to say it to your face. It takes a weak kingdom to fear someone they never met. It takes a master manipulator to make that kingdom turn against them anyway. The smear campaign wasn't just one person gossiping out of spite. It was psychological warfare on the community level. A coordinated attack on your image, your essence, your energy, your things, your stuff. Carefully planted poison, weak minds and bitter hearts. They created hate for someone people never met. You became a threat without ever speaking. Yeah, the witches, they tried to poison you and do evil stuff, and it hit right back on them. They thought it would ruin you, but it ruined themselves. It only made you better. If you wouldn't go through it, you wouldn't be here. And you're going somewhere. You're moving all the time. So your boundaries into birdness. The people around them didn't need proof, just the right tone, just a little hint of drama. They turned entire rooms against you. Against someone they never ever shared eye contact with. The puppet master didn't need facts. They used psychology, gaslighting to make others question your intentions, projections to dump their demons onto your name, play people against each other when you stood there painted as the storm, when all you were doing was breathing. You ever walked into a room and felt the energy tighten around you like a noose? People avoiding eye contact, fake laughter when you speak, a sudden coldness from people who used to smile. That wasn't intuition, playing games. That was your spirit, reading a room that had already been breathed against you. You couldn't brew it. No text threads, no voice recording, just energy. Just that feeling in your gut that said, they already decided who I am. But here, what they underestimated you. You didn't need proof because you had discernment. You saw the patterns. You felt the shift. You started moving differently. Not out of paranoia, but out of precision. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped overgiving. You stopped softening your truth. You used to fit in a room built on lies. And that decision, that's what shifted the war. Because now all those people who were manipulated into hating you, they're seeing the truth for themselves. The lies aren't aging well. The mask is slipping. The one who pulled the string is being exposed slowly, publicly, and without mercy. And you stayed silent. You stayed focused. You became the myth that outlived the rumor. And now they're realizing that the one they were told to hate was the one they needed to follow all alone. This wasn't just hate. This was a murder attempt disguised as misfortune. When envy can't kill your character, it tries to kill your body. But fate has a funny way of guarding what can't be replaced. Let's not sugarcoat this. This wasn't jealousy. This wasn't gossip. This was full-blown calculated attempt to erase you, physically, quietly, without fingerprints. They didn't want you just gone from the room. They wanted you gone from the earth. The attacks escalated. The hostility grew dark, and the setups became deadly. They left security doors unlocked. They created electrical fire risk in your space. They tampered with your locks. They mapped your movements like predators stalking prey. They monitored you. And if you had been slower, less aware, you wouldn't been here right now, but something kicked in, that flash, that discernment, something in your chest. To check the door, take a different route, stay home that night. That wasn't fear, it was your intuition doing what alarms can't, saving your life. They made it look like carelessness, like coincidence. But no, you felt it. Their death benefits their agenda. You became too visible, too powerful, too connected, too untouchable. And when lies didn't work, when character assassination failed, they got desperate. They thought maybe something tragic happens. The story ends and no one will ask questions. But they forgot one thing. You were born with spiritual surveillance. You sensed the shift in the air. You noticed when people's eyes stopped blinking around you. You picked up the trap before they were finished building them. And when they got sloppy, left fingerprints in the energy, left the door cracked just enough, gave you one too many accidental near misses. You didn't panic, you observed, you adapted, you survived. And now, you're not just alive, you're alert. They failed. And not only did they fail, they exposed themselves. Because when you survive a setup so extreme, you stop being afraid of shadows. You walk in the darkness with power, proof, and the look on your face now, that's not your strength, it's survival. A survivor, glowing like truth. You weren't supposed to make it, but you did. And now they're the ones watching their world unravel while you are walking away with silence on your lips and fire in your steps. They tried to lock you up, but the universe unlocked them. The trap didn't fail, it reversed. And the ones who built it got caught in their own blueprint. When murder didn't silence you, they pivoted. They tried to frame you. They stripped your rights. They took your protection. They smeared your name in places they thought you'd never recover from. They wanted a narrative to end with a mugshot, not a microphone. Their plan was surgical. Fabricate the threat, plant the evidence, trigger the arrest, and watch the headlines eat you alive. And for a second, it almost worked. They got bold, confident. They thought you were surrounded. Cops showed up. Warrants were drawn. You were disarmed, isolated, stripped of your truth in real time. And the kind of silence that wraps around a setup like a funeral sheet. Yes, they were ready to bury you, cops, government, society, legally. Yes, they formed a group, a whole team. They are the biggest mafia. The government. They try to do it legally and think they can get away with it. But no. Emotionally, spiritually. They couldn't take your soul. A single miscommunication on the radio, one missed signal, one delayed message, one officer who hesitated, one paper that didn't match the timestamp, and just like that, the trap fell apart off the scene. That wasn't luck, that wasn't timing, that was the universe stepping in through a glitch. Because when you're chosen, you don't need to swing a sword. The battlefield folds on your behalf. And in that moment, everything they hidden started rising. The lies started leaking. Pictures emerged. Call logs surfaced. Email timestamps. Files deleted. all like ghosts, paper trails, paper after paper, witnesses who couldn't be bought, receipts who they forgot existed. Suddenly the flip script, you weren't the villain, you were the evidence of survival, of the truth, of justice, knocking like thunder. Investigators started digging, and what they found shattered everything. Judges, cops on the setup, employers leaking data, community leaders playing both sides, and those names, and they were conspirators now facing charges. You were claimed in legal documents. Now you were in the court of heaven. What they wished on you, isolation, illness, poverty, came back to them tenfold. Their businesses folded, their marriages collapsed, their health deteriorated. One by one, their mask fell off. It was a coward who thought the universe wasn't watching, but God watched. God sees everything. God knows. Your vindication wasn't illegal when it was karmic combustion. The silence of the universe protected, and the world sees why. You didn't survive the setup. You outlived the system. They watch you walk through fire, and they're stepping into the flame with you. Real power doesn't fall in love with your comfort. It falls in love with your capacity to lead with cause and still come out with compassion. You were never invisible, even in your darkest hour. Even when it felt like the whole world turned against you, there was someone watching, always someone in silence. Someone powerful was watching, not a savior, an observer, not there to rescue you, but to respect you. And now they're stepping forward. Sympathy, pity, no, it's not that. It's your wisdom under pressure. When silence was your only weapon, you held on to your light. When the entire community tried to dim you, they admire your silence more than others admire noise. Now, the one who never needed to be loud is finally ready to speak, to align, to build, to open doors that no enemy can ever shut again. This isn't some trauma bond. This is alignment on another frequency, born of strength, respect, and resonance. They see your scars, but they also see your strategy. Your softness never made you weak. It made you unforgettable. You were loyal when it cost you everything. Kind when it will be easier to be cold. And that what drew them in. And now the tide has turned. Business opportunities are flowing in. Leaders who once doubted you are now circling back with respect. Your name, once dragged through back rooms and inboxes, is now floating in rooms, partnerships. Not because you're lucky, because someone put you on, because you stayed faithful in the dark. You didn't sell out, you didn't shrink, you didn't betray your inner truth to survive. You became the standard. And now that inner child inside you, the one who used to wonder if anyone will ever see her, the ones who felt unsafe, unprotected, unloved, she's not just being held, she's being honored. You are safe now. You are seen now. You are valued now. And you are no longer surviving this journey. You are thriving publicly, loudly, unapologetically. The world finally caught up, and the one who watched you fight in silence, they're no longer the shadows. They're here to build, to protect, and to rise with you. The universe didn't just save you, it used you as the hammer to reshape the entire system. You weren't sent here to survive the storm, you were sent to end it. And now the thunder carries your name. It was never just about you, it was about something bigger. They weren't attacking a person, they were poking at the universe itself, and you were the pressure that pushed back, hard, loud, relentless. They thought they were silencing one person. They ended up triggering a cosmic correction. You were the balancing force. Centuries of silence, playing small, enduring abuse behind fake smiles and stitched together reputation. What they tried to bury became the very seed that cracked open every lie that they built their lives around. Because your story, it exposes the system. It activated truth. It lit a fire under every false structure, pretending to be untouched. And now everything they built on fear, envy, and manipulation is crumbling quietly, publicly, brick by brick. This was bigger than gossip, bigger than betrayal, bigger than the warfare that followed you from community to classroom to corporation office. This was a spiritual domino effect, a shift in power, and you were the force that flipped the first piece. They tried to destroy you, and instead you became a walking mirror that forced the world to look at its own rot. The radio communication, that wasn't a mistake, that was a signal. The failed frame job, it was reversal. Gossip that backfired, that was the prophecy unraveling in real time. In life, the universe doesn't play, it plays fair. And what you endured was never for nothing. It was painful, perfectly timed. Now the same people that try to exile you are choking on the words they used to destroy you, the town that used to whisper your name. Now they say it with respect. Once too much, too intense, too different is now the blueprint. From whispered threats to visible power. From watch your back to watch your rise. And your look, that unshaken posture, that storm in your eyes they once feared. It walks into rooms and silence every lie that was ever told about you. You didn't just glow up. You glowed through the darkness they threw at you. You didn't just heal. You turned your healing into a weapon. You didn't just survive. You led a spiritual revolt. And now your story is legacy. Your name is stamped into every institution that once tried to erase it. Your presence is shifting atmospheres. Your leadership is redefining what power looks like. Because let's be honest, this wasn't just transformation. This was resurrection. You were spiritually declared dead, counted out, framed, laughed at, gossiped about. But here you are alive, glowing, grounded, and more dangerous than ever. Not because you were vengeful, but because you're focused. Not because you want power, but because you embody it. You didn't trade your soul to win. You refined it in the fire. And that's why they can't stop watching. Not of curiosity, but because deep down, they know the system that raised them is bowing to the force that raised you. The system couldn't destroy you. Because you are bigger than the system. So understand this. Conspiracy is old news. The setup is a footnote. The only thing people want to know is, how did you make it? How did you stay standing? How did you turn humiliation into honor, pain into purpose, survival into empire? And here is the secret they never print on paper. You were faithful in the dark. You trusted the whispers of your institution. When the world gaslit your senses, you stayed graceful when they tried to turn you savage. You didn't just rise, you rose correctly. And now the universe is balancing the scales on your behalf. Business are failing, the ones built on your stolen energy. Families are splitting, the ones that cost you out. Reputations are burning, the same ones that stood on lies. And you walking through the fire they built for you, and you became the fire. You are wearing it like a crown. This isn't revenge. This is realignment, a cosmic correction. And the one they tried to destroy is now the one the whole town can't stop watching. Because your presence can't be ignored, and your rise is unstoppable. And now, as the smoke clears and the mask falls, one truth remains: you were never the problem. You were the shift. The conspiracy failed, but you didn't just survive the fire. You became the reason it can't burn the same way again. This is your season, your legacy, your correction of the chaos. If 777, you were home, this is your way. Chosen soul.